ton of stuff to cover here today. The first one we got are formulas, right? This is math. You got to know your formulas here. Quadratic formula is a big one. We also have a strategy called a plug-in mindset. So if you're ever stuck on a problem and you're like, I don't know what to do, this has got your back. We also have some tools that will save you time, you guys. So we got apps on this calculator. You got to know how to find them and how to use them. We can also do this thing called making use of structure, kind of a little hack to get through problems a little quicker and a little bit easier if you see it. And of course, we would be remiss if we weren't to solve by graphing on a graphing calculator. So we will show you how to do that and when it's the best time to do it. And all of this, of course, guys, is so that you can boost your score through the roof on math when you take that SAT. All right. So welcome, you guys. Got a few different people to introduce. First and foremost, my name is James Allen, aka Mr. Allen Math. I am a teacher in Illinois, high school math teacher, and I love doing a little bit of SAT and ACT prep as well. We've also got our mathematical geniuses here, Pat
Wow.
and Jeff. They are both high school math
Unbelievable.
teachers, AP Calc, AP Stats, test prep, you name it, they've got it. And monitoring the chat today, we have Val and Parisa. So anything you're putting in that chat, they're going to be talking with you guys. And of course, throughout this whole thing, make sure that you guys are asking great questions. And if we think it's something that we want to address with everybody, we're going to do that one live as well. So put those questions in the chat. Anything you got, they'll help you out, or we'll address it, as a crew here. And of course, we got quick polls, guys. So we're going to ask you some different brain busters as we go through this thing and see if you guys can get that answer, or maybe just what are you enjoying so far, or what app did you think was most helpful. So a lot of polls throughout, so be active with that. And I'm not usually one to say you should have your phone out in class, but have your phone ready because we're going to have some QR codes throughout this event here that you can scan and then join in with us on different socials. So we got TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, all that good stuff. If you participate in those, guys, we got some cool stuff for you. We got a swag box coming your way. You could have yourself a little plushie, right? We got these cool hats you only round once for mathematical accuracy. And there's a mystery box here that I may show you the contents of it at some point, but make sure you guys are sticking around through this entire event so you get your hands on this swag because, spoiler alert, there is a calculator. That's Buku
Wait, a
Bucks.
real calculator or a stuffed animal calculator?
You know what? It might be one of each, right? You can go to sleep with this one,
Oh,
but you can have your calculator in class as well. So be ready for the swag, guys. So are we ready? I think we are. We got five awesome things to cover here, and let's get it going, you guys. Let's take it with the quadratic formula here to start.
all right. So this is a formula you're probably familiar with, the quadratic formula. Uh, Pat, what do you think about this? Do your students use this some?
They kind of use it more than they should, really, Jeff. It's like an
Yeah,
old reliable.
Yep.
I can do it. I just give me the formula. It's an algorithm. I have no idea what I'm doing. I just plug the numbers in and they magically appear.
right. Especially when you can't factor, right? That's kind of a
Yeah.
fallback for students. They just go, okay, we're just gonna plug in the quadratic formula. So
Yeah.
here's a question about a quadratic. Which of the following is a given solution to the given equation? I kind of glance at those answers and look at the answers. They're a little different than maybe I expected there.
Well, it does clue us in, Jeff, that there's no factoring in this one, right?
Nope.
Oh, wait, why does it
Right.
why does it clue that in?
Because there's
Explain
square
that.
roots that we can't figure out. So this would be good for a student, right? Hey, quadratic formula. All
Yeah.
right.
So you could just plug in the quadratic formula. Of
Right.
course, it takes a little bit of time, right?
It does.
You could type that whole guy into the calculator. What would happen if you did that? So if you typed in that big fraction, I always hit alpha
Right.
x for a fraction.
Right.
Type in -14. I'm going to put plus there, square root.
Right. Yeah. So
Uh,
the question is the calculator going to give us both
yeah,
answers or just one, right?
Right.
Well, you're going to have to do it twice, right? You're going to do one for adding and then one for subtracting. But yeah, are we going to get a nice answer, Jeff? Or, well, I guess we're going to find out, right?
well, let's find out. So I don't think the answer is going to look like we expect it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, wow. So, I mean, sometimes when my students do this, they type it in, they're like, I guess I did something wrong. That answer doesn't look right.
And
I
then they
mean,
try to change
really?
it to a fraction and it can't because it's
Yeah.
irrational. So,
Right.
Right.
Yeah. So even if you try to change it to a fraction, you go FD there. I know it's not going to do
Right.
it.
nope.
So that's where the formula really comes in handy, is that it kind of simplifies a little bit. In fact, there's a part of this formula that's kind of neat.
Yeah.
What part of the formula could you use to clue in your answer? In other words, and this is kind of a weird thought, Pat, but
Yeah.
like sometimes they don't actually have to finish the problem. Does that make sense to you?
Isn't
Like,
that weird? Yeah, like I think the SAT rewards kids that know what's going on. Like, don't finish the whole thing. Just
so
do the
if you
part
just
you
do the
need.
opposite of b over 2a, that's your h value there. That's the middle of your parabola, your kind of
Right.
your h value of the vertex. And so if you just do that, so opposite of 14 divided
Hmm.
by 2 times 1, and you get -7. And right away, I look at that D answer, I think it's
Right.
got to be D. Don't you think?
Yeah. I do
Yeah.
too. I do too. There is another way too, though, completing the square, right? An old
Yeah.
favorite of my students, especially with the students that use AI to get answers, they love completing the square. It's a
Wait,
favorite.
We didn't
that's
teach this
happened
in
to you before?
class.
Just once. Sorry,
My,
students, didn't mean to put you under the bus.
by the way, my students at St. Mary's, they don't ever use AI. I'm sure of that. So,
Well, they take the lead from their teacher. You're a good guy.
okay, so let's look at another example here. So this
Right.
is, I think, a very common example. So
Mhm.
this is increasing by 125%. This is exponential growth
Yeah.
because it's increasing by a percentage there. And this is the equation I think of, the kind of generic equation. And all the answers look like that form. You can see that 30 is
Right.
your initial value or the y-intercept there. That's always the one.
Right.
So we're starting with 30 comments. Um, and then A is your base of the exponential there. And if it's growing, it's going to be a formula 1 plus the rate as a decimal. And if it's
Mhm.
decaying, it's 1 minus the rate. Do you teach it this way in your classroom, Pat?
I do it this way too, Jeff. And on this one, it's really interesting because when you glance at the answers, the only thing that's different is that A value. And boy, there's a lot of ways a kid can make a mistake if they forget to add one. Like they always hear like, hey, it's a 30% increase. So they think 30%, not 130%, right?
125%. Yeah,
Or
yeah.
in this case, it's so tough. It's easy to slip up on a question like this, but you got to remember that base is one plus for the growth and one minus for the for decay.
Yeah, so if you don't add the one, I think A was a very tempting answer.
Yeah.
It
Do you
is.
think they put the answer there on purpose, or are they trying
Yeah,
to trick your students?
I think they're trying to find out the mistakes they make. Even B, I used to have students that would just move the decimal all the way to the left from percent. They didn't
Oh,
No
even
matter
count the
what. Yeah.
numbers.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Um,
Really, all those are tempting because it's
yeah,
125% if you don't know the formula very well. But if you
right.
know
It
that
would be
formula, that
interesting to
those kinds of
see.
questions become easy, I think.
Right. It'd be interesting to see like what distractors most students pick on this. I would think A, especially because, man, that's appearing first, right? I mean,
Yeah,
they're not, there's a lot of reading on this piece. There's a lot of reading.
The
definitely.
reading trips you up sometimes. The reading, yeah, it'll slow you down and all that. You got to really look for those key parts.
Yeah.
But I like that. Yeah, that one's a
Mhm.
solid one right there.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So those are like, I think, Jeff, I know those are our three main formulas we wanted to hit today, I think.
yeah,
Yeah. So, I mean, what questions do you guys have right now? Feel free to put them in the chat if you have any. We can address it at this time because, we want you guys to be active in there. Anytime you are active in that chat, we are watching for some of our best
Mhm.
participants. Award for the best participant goes to, we will find out. We will find out. I don't know who it's going to be, but we love hearing you guys' questions in there. We had one person actually suggested in here of like storing their A, B, and C values and just typing that in for the quadratic formula which is a pretty solid idea, like that one that we
It's
did
it,
there.
it's it's almost like they know what we're going to next.
I know, right? They
it is. It
love
is
that
almost
idea.
like that. By the way, just a side note there, the SAT does provide some geometry formulas, but they don't
Yes,
provide those two formulas.
really.
Right.
Okay. That
Yeah,
is a good thing to know. Yeah. All right. So first social prompt, guys, on this live stream right now. So we want to leave a comment on this video. What state are you from and when are you taking the SAT? That's what we want to hear from you guys. What state are you from? When are you taking the SAT? Comment that right now on this video, and we'll be picking somebody for some swag here in a little bit. So yeah, we're excited. I mean, it's all over. The national date, you guys said the national date is May 3rd.
Mhm.
Yeah,
uh-huh.
coming right up. So So
Well, and who
yeah,
doesn't want to wear math swag? I mean, every
yeah.
kid
I
I
mean, who
know
I
loves
would
Oh.
be
math.
going. I'm gonna go in. I would go in this shirt right here. If I'm going there, I'll be like, I slept, then I ate, and now I'm ready to math. You know what I mean? At that
Yeah,
SAT.
yeah.
Well, we got people from all over here as well, which is really really cool. Texas, we got one. We got Florida. Ooh, we got someone in here that's a teacher. They're with a few of their students right now. A couple sophomores, a
Oh,
junior, and a
nice.
freshman. They're prepping it up right now, which is really cool.
On a
Uh,
Saturday morning working on
yeah,
it. That's great.
what a great way to start your day.
Can't
We got
think
New
of
Yeah.
a better
Jersey,
way.
New York. That's awesome. Very
Okay.
cool. All right, guys,
So
let's get over with the plug-in mindset for when you're stuck. 'Cause if you get into a mathematical jam, there's a way to get out of that in certain scenarios. So, what's up?
So
yeah,
Jeff, it
and
was good. Yeah.
Pat, a lot of my students, I don't know if your students do this, when they're stuck, they just go any, meeny, miny, mo, everyone pick C.
Right.
And I'd much rather think, what can I plug in here?
Right.
Right?
Exactly right. And the calculator does that very, very well. And I think also by plugging in a value, you kind of understand the problem a little bit better. And like, here's a weird question that, a teacher might ask, put into vertex form, but a SAT saying, which of these is the same, right?
Yeah.
Which is equivalent? And that kind of throws people a bit,
Right.
especially if they're not sure what to do. I mean, how would I get it to look like that? I mean, there's a lot of ways, right, Jeff? I think we went over some of them earlier.
Yeah, I mean, so this is a little bit unusual. It's kind of, you could use complete the square, but even
Hmm.
that, it's a little unusual because it's not an equation, it's just an expression. So you're not used to it. They
Right.
like to take you out of your comfort zone on these questions.
Right. We could do
Um,
negative b over 2a and try to find the x value of I mean, there's so many things, but
so when I have my
yeah,
students plug in, I like them to plug in a number if they don't have anything for X there. And my favorite number to plug in is
3.
3.
It's a good number.
So you can actually do this on your calculator by storing 3 for X. So you type in 3, then the stow key right there above the on key, and then the X key over there next to alpha, and press enter. Now, every time I press X, it thinks it's 3. If I type in 2X, it's going to multiply 2 times 3 and give me
Yeah.
6.
And one thing I want to point out, because there's a really good question in the chat right now that I think a lot of people are probably wondering, how do you clear the stored values, or do you even clear it, or what's going to happen with that as
So
you continue
you
using?
don't need to clear them. You
Okay.
can always just leave them. It's not going to affect your graphing or solving for other things. But there is a way, if you hit second zeros to catalog, all the commands are in there and they're alphabetical. So if I hit the letter with a green D above it, the key with that one, and scroll down to del var. By the way, on this calculator, if you don't know how to use a command in the catalog, you can always hit the plus sign. It'll show you the syntax. It just says type the variable. So I'm just going to hit trace here to paste it and type in X. And if I do that, it kind of deletes X. Well, what it does, now X is 0. So it doesn't even delete it then.
So
Uh,
really, it's just you don't have to worry about clearing it. It's not going to affect anything negatively. It's just because your calculator, if you go to graph, it just continually stores stuff as X. Right now, you're just choosing to
right.
store 3 as X.
Hmm.
Okay. So
Yeah.
really a non-issue as far as like clearing things out, right?
Kind of
100%. But some
leverage.
students like to delete the variable.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're just going to type in the expression as it is.
Yeah. So if x is a 3, what is x squared plus 8x plus 15, Jeff? What does that come out to be?
Let's see. Sorry, it's a little slower typing on the computer than the calculator. If you're a ninja on the calculator, you can just type this in like crazy fast.
Right.
That's why I hashtag take TI to the test, because then I'm going like this instead of clicking around on my Chromebook or
Ah,
laptop or whatever and using. So I kind of like having it in my hands because my thumbs are pretty fast.
yeah. And then you get your minuses and pluses correct and things. So it's
Yep.
just
Right.
nice when you do that. Okay, so we typed it in and we got that. And it says the answer is supposed to be equivalent,
Right.
right? So if I type in, I guess, one of the answer choices, so X plus 4 squared plus 1, I get 50. We're pretty close.
Right. But it wasn't the same. It wasn't 48 though. So we know it can't be A. But the nice thing on the calculator, Jeff, I think is you don't have to retype that again, right? Can't you just kind of copy it?
Right. So if you click up if you use
Ooh.
the up arrow to click up and highlight the previous comment there, You can go backwards and delete. So put your cursor over the one and delete it. Well, I guess I didn't need to delete that. But hit the -1 instead of +1,
Hmm.
and you get 48. So which is the correct answer because it's equivalent to the
Right.
question.
Yeah. So again, it's a nice way to go, especially with that copy and paste feature, being able to bring down what you previously typed in. Huge time,
Right. Yeah.
especially
So
for a student.
I probably should have just typed over the top of the plus sign and
Mhm.
put a minus sign.
Right.
If you ever need to, one little hint with copy and paste, if you ever need to insert a character, if you hit second delete, I could change this to 31 and it moves the one over if I insert command. The second delete is insert, which is just handy
Okay.
to know.
So
Yeah,
this,
if you ever like miss
yeah.
something, you need to type something. You don't. A lot of people do. They're like, "Wait, it's erasing everything."
So
So you
this
could do that.
plugin is a great way for kids that, man, they get stuck, right? Like we said, I don't know what to do.
Right. Right. If you're kind of like, I don't know how to complete the square, and this guy, it doesn't look like the complete square I had in my math classroom.
Right.
And so, yeah, I mean, I think that's the way you go. You go, well, if you're stuck, plug in. I like to plug in 3 when I'm stuck. That's one of
Right.
our big strategies. Unless the problem specifies, other numbers or gives you other
Mhm.
options, I just plug in 3.
Well, and then another great strategy this is useful for is those ones where you have to solve for a different variable, right? Like the equation maybe is solved for X, and now you got to
Uh-huh.
solve it for Y or Z. This one's really helpful because students have a lot of trouble with those. And I think we've got a problem dealing with one of those
We
now.
do.
Yeah.
This is a monster. It's called a literal equation in your math
Right.
textbooks. And my students struggle with this. Pat, what do you think?
Yeah, mine do too. And I don't see what the big deal is, right? I'm a math teacher. I'm like, come on, just solve it. It's not that hard. But yeah, it is. There's like what, two numbers and the rest are all letters. And I think when it's all letters, it really throws kids off.
Yeah.
And so this plugging in replaces all the letters with numbers. Well, now I think we're doing a little better here.
Yeah, I mean, another thing, what my students do, like the first step they might use to solve this, some students multiply by 2, some students divide by 1/2. Well, you divide it by
Right.
1/2, your answer doesn't look like the answer there,
Yeah.
Mhm.
right? So it's gonna kind of throw you off maybe. So this is a way to do it. It's maybe not the fastest way to do it, but
Right.
it's another way to go here. So let's try this one. So we're gonna store the 3 variables on the right, pick my favorite 3 numbers. So
Right.
3,
And while Jeff is storing those, he's picking values for H, B, and C. We also need to pick a value for A. So he's going to have to, I think, use the calculator to figure out what A is. And these are like your favorite numbers, right, Jeff? You
they
love
are.
big
And
numbers.
it to store for C or one of these other variables other than X, you hit the alphabet key, the green key, and then C is, if you have good eyes, is the green one there. And
Mhm.
so you press enter. So I've stored all the variables. I'm going to
Okay.
type it in just like it looks. Alpha X is a fraction. So 1/2
So
alpha
we're
H.
figuring out what the A value would be. And what's nice is you've got those numbers already typed in for H, B, and C.
Yeah. Again, so the drawback of this method is does take a little time, but you're going to get the right answer. So I like that.
Right.
So now what is 18 going to be? If I plug that in, I get that.
That's going to be A.
So we're
Okay,
gonna
so
store that.
in fact, I'm just gonna hit stow. It's gonna store the previous answer of
Okay.
18 as A. So I hit alphabet A, and now I have all my variables stored. So I have all
Right.
those have a number to them. A is 18. The rest of those guys are 3, 5, and 7. So now, what are these answers
Yeah.
supposed to be equal to, Pat?
Yeah, I kind of lost what we're doing. Let's go back. I see the question mark in the problem. Okay, which equation expresses B? So we're trying to figure out what B is, and I believe B is 5 in our case, right? That's what you chose.
Right.
So start typing in problems and seeing which one gives you an answer of 5, I guess.
Okay.
Yeah, and you
So
know what? There's a really good suggestion as you're typing that in the chat. Someone make sure not to store one of your variables as 0, because that can mess things up. I'd imagine 1 would be something we probably want to avoid as well, which is why you're
Yeah,
picking
and
3,
then
5, and
we like
7.
avoiding 2 because like 2 squared is the same thing as 2 times 2. And if
Yeah,
you want to avoid, but like Jeff said earlier, if it says B is only positive numbers, don't do a negative number.
right.
Another neat one is if you see an absolute value in a problem, maybe try to store a negative value as one of those variables if it's in there. But yeah, but Jeff's just going through trying to figure out which one of these is going to give us an answer of B.
Yeah. Or
And
so,
and and I don't know about you, Jeff, but when I do this strategy, it's always the friggin' last one
yeah, right.
Oh my
when I try
goodness.
it. And then when I start at the bottom, you know what it is? It's the one on the top.
Yep.
It just oh, I think this is the last one. I think it's D, I think.
Oh my goodness. It's the last one. I think you're rubbing off on me because that doesn't
I'm
usually happen to
sorry.
me.
It's my bad luck sometimes. But
Okay.
I think a student, even though this does take a little bit, right? This is kind of taking in some time. But if a student's gone through their SAT and they've got some time left, they're like, God, I don't know how to do this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, here's a way to get this answer right. And wouldn't you rather have a correct answer than an incorrect one?
Yeah. 1 out of 4 chance is not that great. So if you can take a little extra time on one question, and really time on the SAT, unlike the ACT, time on the SAT is pretty generous. It's over 1 minute and 30 seconds per math question.
Oh,
So
really? Okay.
that's not bad. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm not sure how long that took, but it wasn't much more than a minute and a half
Well, and
there.
like you said, if you're able to use your thumbs, a
Yeah.
Oh,
lot faster.
100%. You're so
Yeah.
much faster than I
And
can go
sometimes
on
you
the computer.
also, if you're, when you first like plugged all that in, then your mind might be like, ooh, that one seems most logical. Cause like when I look at choice
Ah,
B and I start thinking, well, 2 times 18 is 36 divided by H, which is 3, like I'm going to get an integer there, you know? So now I'm thinking like, hey, that might be a good one to test, you
Well, and
know?
in terms
So,
of teaching, I know we have some teachers here, and it's a good way to get kids into the problem, right? Put variables in, and like you said, you start to notice mathematical equivalencies of what's going on in the
mhm.
problem. And that's good math. That's just good math.
Yeah,
yeah.
I think this is again, a strategy that's not like we're not going to teach this in class to be like, hey, this is just how you do this problem. This is like you forgot, you're in a jam on a test.
Mhm.
You know that this strategy can work, so you do it. I mean, like we teach literal equations in algebra one. I mean, we even go over some of them again in like algebra two. But kids don't remember everything we teach, you know. Um, that's why we have these review sessions. So it's a good strategy when you're in a jam, you know.
Yep.
All
Absolutely.
right.
100%.
All right, Jeff, I think that's the it for our plug-in. Oh yeah, here we go.
Yeah. So let's see what kind of questions we have. And also, guys, we have our first winners, okay, for some swag right here. We
Ooh.
got swag boxes going away. We got 2 winners I want to announce. And guys, have your questions going in the chat right now because we're going to follow up with you in a sec. But I want to get these winners going. We have Tamika from Florida. She is taking the SAT on May 3rd. And we have Dan Mann from New York, New York. Took his first one in March. So he already took the SAT and he's doing another one in June. So he's looking to bump that score up. And that is the whole point here, the whole purpose. That is our goal right now in this SAT
You know,
session.
James, I thought
So,
of something. Instead of
yes.
mailing it to their house, wouldn't it be better to mail it to them at school? I mean, what would put them as the big man on campus walking around the hallways, holding your teacher's like, hey, your swag box
Call him
arrived.
down. Call
And
him
the
down to the
kids are like,
office.
where did you get that? Oh,
Morning
can I buy
announcements.
that shirt
Yes.
from you?
Wow.
Oh,
Yo,
they would
they're hot
be,
items on eBay, I'm sure. The
Oh,
yeah.
yeah.
Yoro, what Yoro? Yoro
Yoro?
shirt.
Yo, you only round once right there.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if that's even in the pack. Who knows? I mean, you could
Oh,
also, we got
No
these
one, no
these
one
tumblers
knows.
too for when you're
oh
thirsty
yeah. Teacher, can
during
I
that
fill up my
test.
water bottle and showing
Yes.
it off? Yeah.
Gotta clank it around and things like that. Absolutely. All right. So I think we've addressed most of the questions you kind of threw out. So are we got a quick poll. We got a quick
Right.
poll. Awesome. We have you guys are gonna try this one yourselves. Feel free to either solve it like how you would normally solve it, or if you want to try maybe one of the methods that we just did here, which of
Yeah.
the following is equivalent to the expression above? So mathematical challenge here for you guys. Put your answer in the chat. Teachers, let's try to let the kids answer first. We all know you're smart. All right. It's the first person answering is not the person that's necessarily getting the swag. Okay. They're not
Oh, that's good to
guaranteed to
know.
get that swag just because you were first, but we want everyone to be able to answer here. So
Now,
A, B,
James,
C,
one
D.
thing I would say as a teacher, I love these questions because, I mean, while Jeff's kids, they would never think of using AI. I mean, it's a sin, right? There's no way. This question's kind of immune to the photo math. Like, there's no equal sign. How do I solve it? The phone's like,
Huh.
I'm not sure. So, teachers, great questions to use in class.
Heck yeah. Okay. Like how we got to remind the teachers a couple times here. Let the
Oh
kids
yeah.
answer.
And
We got
and
some
I
early
like
answers going
seeing
in.
the structure of the problem there. You see that minus sign. If I'm just guessing, I would tempted to say C or D first. Does it
Me
make
too.
sense?
Yeah.
Me too. And again, that's good math, right? I mean, it's one of our math standards practices making use of structure. And I think oh my gosh, Jeff, that's a little bit further in our presentation too.
Yeah. I'm laughing right now. We got Stephen Beck. He's singing the Jeopardy music right now through the chat. Solid
Right.
work. Next
Yeah.
live stream, Stephen, we are going to get the Jeopardy. Actually, we might get copyrighted, so we have to just sing it a cappella, I think. So otherwise, we might get flagged if we steal the actual Jeopardy music.
Okay, what was the answer? Do we know the answer to this one?
We got it. Everybody, 100% right now saying choice D for this one.
All right.
I would agree.
I said earlier, it's always the bottom one when I'm doing
Yeah.
these.
Very nice, you guys. You guys crushed it in there. You guys crushed it in the chat right there. Everybody answering D. Nice work. We'll see who gets the next bit of swag. But for now, what's the next social prompt? What do we got here? Or we're going into apps. All right, let's go into. We got apps on this one. Let's get it. This one
Okay,
is my
so
favorite. This one's my
these
favorite.
are these are really powerful, Pat. I mean, these guys, they do a lot of the work for us, and they might save you some time on the test.
Right. And SAT only cares about the answer, right? There's no need to show any work.
Yeah.
Just give us the answer. There's a lot of apps on there. We're just highlighting these big three ones that are so helpful.
And these can be especially helpful when the question, there are some questions in SAT that don't even have multiple choice. You can't plug in the answers
Right.
to figure out which one it is. So these apps could really steer you the right way, get the right answer without having to worry about that.
I like that. The big three. I would refer to them as Jordan, Pippen, and Rodman as our apps right
There you
there on
go.
the
I would take
calculator.
that. No
I
long
think that's a
no loop.
little old school there. I mean,
I know. I'm Chicago,
yeah.
so
Okay, so what's one solution to the given equation? That implies there may be more than one solution. What is
Right.
one of the solutions for this one? You could just simply factor it if you're good at
Right.
factoring, if that's your thing.
Or if we go back to the formulas from earlier, quadratic formula,
You certainly could
mean
get quadratic formula
square.
like that guy for sure.
But again, like you said, there's apps that'll solve this for us, right? If we're stuck and have no idea what to do.
So yeah, some students don't know about this app. So it's really powerful. So if you hit the apps key right there next to the math key and scroll down to, for mine, it's number 9. A lot of folks, it's number 9. It's called the Polynomial Simultaneous 2 app. It just rolls off the tongue.
It
it
does.
really does. It's a great name.
Yeah. And this looks like a polynomial, which is choice number 1 in this app. So it's an x squared, it's a quadratic. The order in other countries, that means degree. So the degree of this is 2, it's x squared, or z squared, I should say. So we're going to say,
And a nice feature, Jeff, is on the next choice where you can choose imaginary answers or real. That's so helpful with some of these.
so I like choosing imaginary here because if it ends up being real, it still shows the real, but it also shows imaginary. So there's really no drawback here to saying a plus bi all the time.
Right.
If you see that button in the bottom right of the screen, it says next. To activate the button, you hit the key below it, which is the graph key, to navigate that, and it brings us to a polynomial. So we're going to type in 1 for our first one. Press enter twice. 10 for our second, our coefficient there. Press enter twice, and then negative 24. I prefer to put the negative there as the number rather than changing the plus sign there, and press enter. Make sure to press enter on that last guy because sometimes students don't. In the bottom right, it says solve. So you get to the graph key, and that's going to solve that guy. Oh my, wait.
But it's done.
It just gives you the answers.
Wow.
Yeah, I think this is especially helpful if you're ever dealing with, say, a lead coefficient, because that can take a little more brain power to have to go through the factoring stuff. Like this one here, I think a lot of people are probably pretty comfortable, like, oh, I'll get that. If they're really good at factoring, you're going to be fast through this. But I was doing one because somebody challenged me on a TikTok that I took too long typing in like a cubic or it was like something with a lead coefficient that I could have just solved it faster with factoring. So I went through that. And then I also did it with the polynomial root finder, and the polynomial root finder was faster in that particular one, but it really just kind of depends on the problem. It's definitely something that's nice to have in your back pocket.
It does.
If you will.
It does. I mean,
By the
some
way,
questions are super, like we're sticking with kind of simpler looking ones, right, Jeff?
Yeah.
So we kind of stay with it, but there's some downright nasty ones, which I think we've got some nasty ones coming up later that are really rough. And you're like,
Okay.
oh, this is a way to do this.
Okay, let's try another one here. So this one is a different thing. So this is a system of equations, kind of a classic. I mean, don't you think you feel like you got at least one systems on every SAT for sure?
Right.
Hmm.
And it's set up like this. And the only mistake students make when they're solving is if they're solving correctly, right, is giving us the wrong answer, like telling us the A instead of the B or something like that. Um, but yeah, I think we've got an app for this one too. I think it's this. Is it the same one, Jeff?
It's the same one. So I'm gonna hit the
Oh my
apps
God.
key. Number 9 is polynomial. And you go to the second one, which in other countries, a system of equations called a simultaneous equation. And so we're going to go to that one. And it defaults to 2 by 2, which is usually what we have. Usually we have X and Y, two equations. This one's A and B, 2 equations, 2 unknowns. Hit the graph key to activate the next on-screen button in the bottom right. We're going to put in the coefficients here. So 2, I press enter twice, 3, 18,
Hmm.
-4, press enter twice, 1, and then -8. And press enter, and then the solve key is bottom right. Is it just going to solve it for us?
I think it is.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
I feel like that is an absolute time saver. Systems can be kind of tedious, especially if you're like, then you gotta, if you get the one variable, because they ask for B here. So say you end up solving for A first, and you got to
Oh
plug
yeah.
back in for B, like, so I feel like the system of equations, unless it's set up to cancel like right away with elimination, I feel like this one's almost guaranteed to save you
It
time.
is definitely absolutely good choice to choose. Um, I
Well
think we've
played.
got, thank you. I think we've got one more after this that, like, I know there's some people watching this going, yeah, I could do the math on this. This isn't that rough.
Yeah, I mean,
Let's look
that's
at
the
our,
math for elimination. I
yeah,
prefer elimination. And that was smart to eliminate A because you're solving for
right,
B. So those are things you have to do. If you do it by hand, you definitely want to think about any time-saving thing you can do to
yep,
help you.
right. But let's look at our next one because our next one for solving, I think, is more interesting.
Okay.
Ooh,
Like,
ooh.
look at those answer choices,
Oh, wait.
right?
The problem looks pretty normal, but look at the answers.
Right.
Holy cow.
Yeah,
And
Right?
so that would, yeah, that'll
what's
get a
gonna
few
happen? Like
people
if we
like,
were to try elimination here,
yeah.
wouldn't everything go away?
Right. And so now there's a few people I think in the chat going, oh, wait, what was that app again you were talking
Yeah,
about? Because I
right.
wasn't going to use it because I can solve it. Maybe we've got their attention now, perhaps.
Okay, so I'm going to enter this one, same app,
Right. Just plugging in the stuff again.
and just
Um,
typing it in.
and I think, yeah, I think James, like you were saying, this one's going to come out to be since things all cancel, we're going to get like an infinite solutions kind of setup.
But
Oh,
there's
yeah,
no
we used to do
answer
that
here
in
that
Algebra
says
2.
infinite
Right.
solutions.
Right. And so we need to figure out like where are all the answers located? And look what it did. It's
Oh
kind
my
of a weird
goodness.
answer here.
So the answer looks different though. They
It
used
does.
Y, they didn't use R, but evidently that one's using R. So they're
Right.
saying even if you just look at the R, the Y value there, the only one that has a Y value of Y or R there is B.
Right.
And does
And
the
then
X value check out there then? Like how do we interpret
it
the X value?
does. Yeah,
Well,
7 divided by 2 is 3.5 and
okay, 7 divided by 2 is
3.
3.5. So that's the
Right.
constant. And the
Right.
coefficient is -3/2, which is -1.5
Yeah.
times Y or times R.
This is a pretty good game changer because I know like students when they get infinite solutions are like, wait, how do I do the next part now? I'm not sure what to do. Hey, it gets it for you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Really
mean,
pretty great.
if I saw that one, um, I was probably guessing and moving on. If I saw all
Yeah.
those answers, I'd be like, nope,
Oh
not
yeah.
happening. I have no idea what this means right now. I'm
Right.
going on.
Yeah, because if you solve it by hand, you get a strange answer. You get 0 because 0, which normally in Algebra 2, you just say infinite solutions. But they wanted a more specific answer here than just infinite solutions.
Hmm.
Um, so I
Nice.
think that's,
Nice use.
oh, yeah. Yeah.
Okay,
Absolutely.
I think we've got one more app to show for our
Cool.
apps here for sure.
Okay. What is the
Oh,
positive solution to the given equation? So this is kind of a strange equation. Maybe
it
not,
is.
one you've seen too much like that. And to get out of this app, by the way, hit second mode twice. That gets you out
Right.
of the app.
Like algebraically, Jeff, I mean, my students have a hard time. If it was equals x over 1, well, then they think, I'm not going to mention the method because I really don't care for it, but they're going to cross multiply, right? And then
Right,
solve
right.
it out algebraically. But what's weird is we're going to get two answers. Like I think we actually have the math on the next slide, I think, just to take a look.
Mhm.
Okay, let's see.
Yeah,
Oh, so you do get two answers. You would get +5, and then you'd also get -11 if you look at the other factor.
right.
Yep.
Can you imagine reporting -11, doing all the good math, and then like, I didn't answer the question.
That'd be
Sorry.
Oh,
awful.
that would be tragic, actually.
It would be.
Okay, so let's see. Where is the solver for this guy? Numeric solver. So it's kind of
It's
hidden.
hiding.
No math teacher wants you to know what this
Yeah.
is. If you hit the math key, it's at the bottom of the menu. The fastest way to get to the bottom of the menu is hit the up arrow, and there it is. So
Numeric solver.
Numeric
It is.
solver.
It should get its own T-shirt. Personally,
wow, that's strong.
yeah.
55 over x plus 6.
And it's nice you can actually use the fraction feature still in there to type it in. So you can just type it in exactly how it looks.
Mhm.
So the way you type it in is the left-hand side of the equation is your E1, and then your right-hand side of the equation is your expression 2 or E2. So once you type it in, hit the graph key, okay, and
Now,
Is
then
that
it's
the
asking
answer?
for a guess there. So it doesn't
oh,
Right.
really say it, but it's asking for a guess.
So it's not the answer that's right there.
That's not the answer. So
correct.
Okay.
you can type in a guess. I'm going to type in a positive number because I'm looking for a positive answer. If I hit solve or graph there, it says the answer is 5.00000000001, which in this setting, Pat, don't you just consider that to be 5?
I
It's at
do.
5.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you get 2.9999. That's 3,
Mhm.
right? So that happens. I think it's just the way the calculator is solving it inside of
Mhm.
its head.
Now we have
Now,
to warn kids.
could you get the -11 solution? Like, let's just say they were asking for both solutions, or maybe you're just doing this on another.
Okay,
How
so
would
let
I
me
get to
guess a
-11?
negative answer here. So I'm just guessing -6 um, and hit solve. Oh, it says no. Uh,
Oh
I
yeah,
think
because you got x plus 6.
I should not have chosen -6. That was a
Definitely don't
really
choose
bad
negative
choice.
6.
So let me try something that doesn't make the denominator 0. How about -7?
There you
Yeah.
go.
If I hit the graph key, there it is. So you actually, it'll give you both answers, won't it?
Yeah. We
So
actually use this in class to solve a really challenging exponential or like logarithmic with exponential, and the algebra was pretty
Sure.
complex. So
yeah,
I showed them the solver. I still said that like you had to show the work on your test, so I had to see that you could do the algebra, but you could use this to check your work because like on any math test, your teacher's going to require you to have work. They're not going to allow you to just be like, "Oh, here's my answer, this complex problem," and boom,
Right.
there you go. But this was a great way to also check your work on like a regular math test, not just say the SAT.
yeah.
And then Jeff, it needs a guess it needs a guess like a starting point, right? Because it's using an algorithm behind the scenes and it needs some number to start with. Isn't that right?
Uh-huh. So if I
Like, does it
type in
like process getting
100,
closer to the answer?
Mhm.
yeah, it just finds the closest answer to my guess I put. If I put in -100,
Yeah, so I know with your students, Jeff, your first go-to is have kids typing a really, really negative number, right? Way
yeah,
out there.
yeah. And so it
And
usually
then,
finds the answer closest to what you put in, typically.
right.
I think this is
Right.
best to use when there's either one or maybe two solutions possible, and it takes like
Mhm.
a little bit of thought for you to know those situations. Because I feel like it'd be kind of challenging to use this for like say a cubic or a quartic function where you're gonna have three or four solutions.
Well,
You get all
and
the answer.
definitely
That might be where you use
something,
the polynomial root finder app then.
Oh, yeah.
And then you
Yeah.
save the solver for your exponentials,
yeah.
your rationals like this,
Yeah. Or any
But,
equation you don't recognize. Like, man, I have no idea what this thing
yep.
even is.
It'll give you something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if you hit second mode, that gets you off of that solver. So you're back to your
Right.
home screen there.
All right.
Let's see what else we got here.
I think we've got another check-in coming up or
Yeah.
questions.
So
Yeah.
there were actually some good questions here in this one. We answered the one about the guess there. Everybody was like, "Wait, why do you have to do a guess? Why do you have to do that?" And it is for that process your calculator's thinking of it. It's like obviously like if you saw when we plugged in -6, it was undefined. So your calculator I think plugs that in first and then
Smart.
and then continues to plug in other values to get to the point where the two equations are equal. So
Right.
it's doing a quick guess and check sort of situation until it balances the two sides of the equation. That's what I'm guessing is happening behind the scenes there in the calculator, but I can't get my mind inside a
Well,
computer
it's
like
using
that.
some small little difference quotients, and so there's a
Yeah.
rounding. It's only accurate to so many decimals, and that's why sometimes, Jeff, we see all those trailing zeros and then a one at the end. Or
Yeah.
it's a
Yes.
tool, right? We've got to be able to use this tool correctly, and yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. Long story short, the algorithm. Just trust the algorithm there.
I trust it.
Yes, that's right. So we're going to do a quick poll here. So let's get that guy up. And I'm also going to announce the winners from the last one. So quick poll right now, guys, in the chat. Which one of those was your favorite? Do you think is going to be the most useful on the SAT? Is it the polynomial root finder, the simultaneous equation solver, or the numeric solver? And for our answer here, for our winners from the last one, let's see here. We have Will of Games. They answered D. A lot of you guys answered D on that last poll from before. They're taking the SAT in the morning and then going to prom. I mean, that sounds like the best day ever. Taking the SAT, then getting ready for prom
You
and
know what
hitting the
would be
prom.
better if they brought, and I think you've done this, Mr. Allen. I think you've brought your calculator to graduation. What if they brought their calculator to prom? Put a little
I
tap
Oh,
brought
on that
I brought my
sucker, maybe a
calculator to
dress.
prom
the
last year, actually.
the pictures you could take with the calculator. I mean, they would be priceless. Instagram
They
Oh
would
my
worthy.
be.
gosh. They
They
could
would be.
take pictures, put them on their calculator, and fit equations to the crowd of
Perfect.
they would be the number, they would be the hit. They would be prom king. Done deal. It's
Done
over.
deal.
Actually, the
Well,
calculator becomes the prom king
very
or
good.
queen.
All right.
Okay.
Well, when is Pat, Jeff, when are your guys' proms at your schools? Ours is actually today. It's this evening.
It's this
Ooh.
evening also.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How about you, Pat?
We were 2 weeks ago. It was nice. We've had rain for like so much time, but the heavens opened up, sun shone. Girls were happy. Their hair stayed nice the whole time.
That
And
is
here what was
important.
really fun. This is kind of a side note. So we had some tables set up for people that don't like to dance because some people just want to go, right? They don't want to
Yep.
dance. So myself and another teacher ran blackjack tables. And so the kids are playing blackjack for just fun chips. Now, as a math teacher, it was very embarrassing when I would deal out a 6 and a 5, and I'm like, and that is.
The
And they're
reason why
like,
you
they
need
were
to take your
trying to get their
calculator.
TI-84 calculator to add up 6 plus 5.
Wow.
We had a suggestion to take the plushie to prom. Yes, you should definitely
Oh, there that
take
would
the
actually be
plushie to
Oh,
better.
prom.
yeah.
Maybe they could sell things like the I don't want to ruin an elf on the shelf for anyone that filed that, they are real. Okay. I don't want to ruin it for anyone watching, but you can buy accessories for that elf on the shelf.
Yeah.
TI should sell accessories for their plushie.
Okay,
Yeah.
y'all are going off the
So
rails. What
yeah,
what do you think?
the chat right now, we got we're
Well,
kind of all over the place in the chat with A, B, and C. Let's see here.
yeah.
One person said all of the above. I guess we didn't have that option, but I agree. All of the above are
Nice.
great. But a lot of just a whole mix of A, B, and C. I think it's really whatever you feel like fits you most. But I think on the
Mhm.
next slide here, we got a TikTok prompt. Is that what we got?
Oh,
Yes,
right.
TikTok social check-in. Get your phones out. Get your phones out in class here. We are going to scan a QR code. So let's pop over to that next slide for me. We are going to say my favorite TI-84 app for the SAT is, and make sure when you guys comment on this video, just posted this thing last night. When you comment on there, make sure you put your YouTube handle so that we can identify you and get you your swag if you're the one that we are selecting. And also
Mhm.
put hashtag take TI to the test and hashtag SAT. So head over to TikTok right now. We'll give you guys a minute to do so before we start the next part of our review here. But make sure you guys put your YouTube handle on there so we know who
Mhm.
you are, because your TikTok and YouTube are going to probably be slightly different handles. So YouTube handle, hashtag take T out of the test, hashtag SAT, and what's your favorite app from that TI-84?
Wait, so what is that on your head in the picture? I'm just curious.
I think that's just a TikTok like thing that they throw up there. That's nothing on my head. I have a pen in my ear, but
A
then there's
pen. That's what it is. That's what
yeah,
it is.
okay. I always keep a pen in my ear at school because, boom, I can write.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
And then
Wow.
my
Okay.
calculator's in my back pocket. Keep the calculator in the back pocket. And tape measure on the side, you know?
Okay. Okay.
You need your tools. You got to be
Gotta
ready.
have them. What if somebody asks me, to math something up? I gotta have a tape measure, a calculator, and something to write with
All
potentially.
you need is like something to measure the angle, and like air
Protractor.
bubble kind of level.
Protractor.
Yeah,
Yep, a little level,
yeah,
little speed square.
yeah. Speed square, exactly right. Yes. All right. Well,
Very
I think
nice. Okay,
we're ready for next.
let's rock and roll, man. What's the next one here? Ooh, structure.
And I don't know about you, Jeff, but these ones are questions that my students like. I mean, my students have seen it, but a lot of people they get to these questions and they're like, I have no idea. What do you mean we're doing here? What?
Yeah. So
Like,
here's an example of one. So you got this quadratic, right? But here's what's weird, Pat, is they didn't say solve for x. I
right.
thought that was kind of strange. They said
Yeah.
solve for x squared minus 5x. Isn't that kind of a strange question?
It is. And so I could see some student like solving for X, and then since this is a blank one, actually submitting that answer for X. And you're like,
Oh,
and
no,
look at the
look,
math.
by the way, look how much work that was. So wait, you had to, once you get your x, 5 plus or minus square root of 57 or 2, you got to plug that into x squared minus 5x.
Oh my gosh.
That's a bit
That's
of work, I would say.
It
that is
is
a
kind of
lot.
interesting. It's a very nice answer after all that mess.
It is
But
really interesting, actually.
surely SAT has a way better way to do this.
Like a
They've got to have an
shortcut.
idea.
Yeah. So
They're teeing you up to save some time right here if you can
Yeah.
see it.
yeah, so first move, divide every term by 2, right? So you get x squared minus 5x minus 8. Already, that's a lot easier quadratic to deal with. And wait, what did they do to
I
solve?
Yeah, I see X squared minus 5X. Yeah.
Oh, so they just solved, instead of solving for x like we've been trained to
Mhm.
do in our math class,
Right.
they actually solved for x squared minus 5x here. They just added 8 to both sides.
And if you think about it, this is really like it's not high level math, but it communicates that, man, you understand what this question's asking. Like you're not
Yeah.
blindly jumping in with both feet and trying to quadratic formula that thing.
Yeah, so essentially what we're doing here is we're kind of looking for like a chunk of our equation, and
Right.
seeing if we could then use that to answer the question. And I got a follow-up little brain buster here. What if they said, what is the value of 3x squared minus 15x? Because I feel like I've seen some where they
Hmm.
are almost kind of, you have to like do two things. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
So if
Yeah.
you had that, now you get down to the x squared minus 5x equals 8.
Right.
What would we do to that 8 to get the answer in that
Right. Times
scenario?
times both sides by 3 to get
By
there.
3.
Right.
Multiply by 3. Yeah.
Yeah. So you can get 24 for that random example I thought of there.
Well, and
But
it's kind of nice. You're trying to match some things up here, Jeff, aren't you?
yeah.
Trying to match the answer
Yeah.
you're looking for with the question you have.
And I'm thinking, Pat, when you see a question that's not just asking for X or Y, but something weird like this,
Yeah.
that's a great time to look for structure in the problem.
Right.
Yeah, it's an
Right.
indicator to look for a pat, look for a chunk of this that, hey, could I isolate this and make my life easier? Because I feel like anytime I've seen those, there's maybe been a handful of times where I couldn't figure out something to break out of that equation. It's almost always something that you can grab from the
So like,
equation
yeah. So
and
like
move
Jeff,
quick.
on this one, you see like a 2x squared in the question and you see an x squared in the answer. Are you thinking like, man, I got to get rid of that 2 somehow to try to match things
Yeah.
up? Is
Yeah.
that,
That's an excellent point.
yeah.
Yep.
And then all of a sudden, like, whoa, we got a 2 for 1. We have two matchings now, x squared minus 5x.
Yeah.
Great.
And that's what we want, right?
Mhm.
Yeah. Well, we got a couple of
Okay,
these.
here's
Let's go
here's
through
another
these.
one. This is
Yeah.
kind of a tough one. It's an absolute value problem. My
Mhm.
students forget how to solve absolute value sometimes.
Yeah.
Um, and again, it's not asking for X. It's kind of strange. It's not asking for X. It's asking for X minus 1.
And it's interesting, it's asking for the positive value also, right? So a little, because we might get a couple answers here.
Mhm.
Yeah. In fact, if I'm doing this in my head, I don't know if you do math like that. I'm thinking X is 19, right?
Yeah.
Or is 18, 18.
Hey, but that's not even the answer because they don't want X. They
Right.
want, and you got to be careful
Oh,
too
18
to not,
would be a really tempting distractor. 18 would be because
Yeah.
if you
right?
plug in 18, it works, right? Or if you
Yep.
use a solver here,
Right.
it's gonna say X is 18. but we want to know what x minus 1 is. So
Right. It's really unusual. But if you do the matching, right? Like, hey, we've got 5x. I'm trying to get it down to an x. What if we just divide by 5 to get the x's to match up?
So divide every term by 5, and you
Right.
get absolute value of x minus 1 equals 17.
17. Which,
Oh,
like you said, Jeff, 18 minus 1, right?
yeah. And they want a positive value, so we don't need to figure out the other answer. There is a negative answer for this one, but not negative. I think it's negative 16,
Well,
but we don't
yeah.
we don't need that one.
You don't
And there
need
is
it.
something really satisfying about just dividing by 5 and having the answer without doing a lot of other
Oh,
stuff. It just feels like you've got all this math stuff going on in your head and you're looking like you're brilliant, ready to go to town.
and I
Yeah,
think
ready to
it
go.
protects you from that wrong answer of 18. If you're thinking this way, you're not going to say, well, x is 18 because you're not solving for x, and you realize that when you do it this way.
Right.
I think a hidden value here is also we're saving time on this problem by looking for structure, seeing something that we can just quickly solve it. So that way, if you had like say that literal equation from earlier that we took a while to type everything in, now you have that time to go back and solve one of those tougher problems because you save time here. I mean, this problem here could literally take you about like 3 seconds to you read it, you divide by 5, you're done, you're moving on. And now you have that whole, minute and a half or so to spend on an additional problem. So
Yeah, that's
save
that's
time
right,
here, use
James.
it elsewhere.
Yeah,
Oh
like
yeah,
otherwise you'd be
definitely a
staring
time
at this
saver for
and
this guy.
yeah, you'd lose like 5, 6 minutes on this maybe if you're trying
Yeah.
to figure it out.
Okay, so this one, I think I'm getting the hang of this, but again, this is a little bit weird.
It is. Um,
Something's
okay, I
funny
think
here.
we I think we should have 30y plus 6x on here.
Yep.
I
Love
think
that.
we're going to
Yeah,
skip this one
I think that's a good
because
call.
Yeah, it was
it's
we
sorry,
missed
it
a Y
just
there, guys.
Yeah.
had a typo there in the
Little
question. There
typo.
wasn't a
Ugh.
possibility there.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. So yeah, we had some people were just kind of wondering like, oh yeah, what is structure? But I think Parisa answered that one in the chat there. Just like we're looking for, a chunk there that we can work with. But there were some good questions that got answered in the chat there. And yeah, I'm just kind of going through that right now, but it looks like overall, you know, people are loving the
Structure is pretty
structure.
good.
Yeah. Um, And there is also yeah, there is actually an absolute value option in your calculator. We actually went over that one in the essay or the ACT prep, which is cool. And you actually want to show us where the absolute value is there for everybody in
Sure.
case.
So it's part of
I
the
mean,
secret menu. If it alpha window, you got a couple good ones in there. I really like log base right there. And that first choice, if you look off to the right there, it's got the absolute value template and it just shows up like an absolute value. You can type in an expression
yeah,
and it'll
it'll do
simplify
it
it.
for you. Okay,
Mhm.
cool.
Yeah.
So yeah, so if you guys have that, if you're, you know, doing an absolute value problem or even in your math class, you do have that option on your calculator to do it. All right, let's get this social check-in here. We got a YouTube social check-in, and you guys are going to need to pull out your phones again. Pull out your phones in class. Got to scan a QR code. Let's get that slide up. We have one of my videos, a new one. I just posted this one last night. It's got some different SAT hacks on the calculator. Actually, some of the stuff that we've gone through today. So if you're like, oh man, how did we do that again? I've got a lot of that information right here in this video. So scan that one, head to the video, and put I'm an SAT live right now. Can you teach me how to and tell me what you guys want me to teach you how to do? So maybe it's certain stuff like logs. You figure out how to do logs. You want to know how to do that. Maybe solving some exponentials, whatever it may be. If there's a
Matrices.
matrices, there you go. If
Mhm.
there's a certain topic you're like, bro, I don't remember how to do this. Could you help me out? That's what we want you to put in there. We have your YouTube handle on this one because we are on YouTube, but make sure you guys hashtag take TI to the test and hashtag SAT. And then we'll be picking a winner from this one here to get another swag box. All right. So be commenting on that video right now. And while you guys are commenting on that video to be possible next winners, we have some winners from our last prompts and our polls here. We have, I think it's Zay Bell, the one that answered all of the above for our apps that we had there. So making up your own answer on this test ended up paying off. You guys ever make up answers on a test that you didn't know how to do? And I'm like, I think this is my answer. So nice work, Zaybel. And then we also have a couple other winners here from TikTok. We have uh Ver let's see here. Virginia I am or something like that, 2004. Trying to read the screen name there. It's hard when it's all in the um, we have likes the numeric solver for the SAT, and we have Lila Forrester, and she likes the polynomial root finder. Okay, so those two winners. Make sure you guys, I believe you need to message TI. So if TI, if you want to put that back in the chat there so that they know where to message you so that you guys can get your swag boxes delivered. All right. So congrats to those winners there,
Mhm.
guys. Congrats, you guys.
Okay.
And also, oh, hold up, quick question here. Virginia was asking whether or not we can store the answer from numeric solver to use later.
Hmm.
I
Great
don't,
questions. So
I
hit the
don't know if
math
we
key,
can.
go up to solver, and let's say we have an equation in there. I'm going to make this different. I'm just going to say plus 1.23, and I'm going to say 1.25 actually, plus x. Let's do that. I'm just making up a question here.
Mhm.
Okay,
I
say
realize.
okay. I'm going to hit solve. It gives us an answer 1.933. I mean, that's a crazy answer, right?
Now let's see if that stores it back at the home screen.
Yeah.
So if you go back to the home screen, second mode, and type X, it,
So,
oh my goodness. So it stores your X value as that.
So
Right.
yeah, remember when we talked earlier about clearing the X values and how you really don't need to do that? All it's going to do is anytime you have an X value, whether like if you're in the graph and you're moving around your graph, like tracing your graph, it's going to regularly store your X and Y values as you go. Okay. So those guys are, I think you could refer to them as like dynamic variables, like they continue to be stored. So just like here in the solver, that's what your X is going to be until you change it to something else.
Yep.
Mhm.
Great
All right.
question.
Well, congrats again, Zay Bell and Virginia M. I was not reading it correctly when it's all lowercase. Virginia M, 2004, and Zay Bell. Well done. I can't wait to see you guys in your TI swag and your brand new calculator. Heck yeah. All right. So there we go. All right. Virginia was very psyched about that, guys. Super psyched
Nice.
about it storing the X there in the chat. I'm stoked about it too. But I
So,
think this is the last one, right? We gotta
right.
solve by graphing here.
Why
Oh,
not use your graphing calculator to solve by graphing, right, Jeff?
That's
I mean,
right.
it's
Graph
amazing
right
you
here.
have a graphing calculator in your hands. Let's use it.
Right.
So here's a problem. We've learned a couple other ways to solve this
Right.
one, right? Polynomial root finder, the math solver.
Mhm.
But in this case, it's kind of interesting. I was like, do you glance at those answers also, Pat, when you see a
I
question?
do. I've really gotten training my students to do that, and it looks like they've got all the possibilities here, right? One answer, two answers, infinitely many, zero, and I think we might actually have the math on this one first. Yeah.
So that's part of that quadratic formula. Remember we
Right.
said the quadratic formula is kind of important. The discriminant is the stuff underneath the square root there. And when the discriminant is negative, you're going to have no real solutions. Those are going to be imaginary when you take the square root of a
Right.
negative. So I don't think you're going to have any real solutions here. So the answer should be D.
Right. And assume I try factoring on this one, right? Like I
Hmm.
think the only way really to solve this, I mean, if you're going to try to do completing the square, they're gonna have a hard time. I mean, you can do it factor to 3 out of 5, right? I mean, quadratic formula would probably be the way to go a student would do here. But what if they don't remember the quadratic formula? Because I believe, while you said, Jeff, earlier, they supply all the formulas. I don't think quadratic formula is one of them either that they give you.
Yeah, they just supply the geometry formulas really that you
Yeah,
might need. So not really any of the algebra formulas. So we don't have that one. So let's get our calculator out. And when you're stuck, I especially like this strategy,
mhm,
30 and beyond, like as you get towards the end of the test, right? So there's
right,
22 questions each module there. And so, as you get to tougher questions, when you get stuck, graph those guys. Oh man.
right. And this is something hopefully almost everyone watching has graphed on their calculator a lot, right? This should be like, I can graph this. I know what to do. They might have a little trouble with their window settings. I know you've got something you always have your students do when you graph, Jeff.
So I have to
Make
say zoom
sure,
6 to get a standard window. And you can see it right there at the very top is the bottom portion of that parabola there.
right. And so we
So
can tell it never crosses the x-axis. So we have to realize that crossing the x-axis, the x-intercepts are the same thing as zeros, the same thing as the solutions.
And how, you know what? Hey, if we didn't see it, could you adjust, show us how to adjust up a little bit in the window? Because I kind of want to see a little more of this parabola, you
So
know?
you can do a couple different things. One way is zoom and scroll up to zoom fit, which is zoom 0.
Oh,
That'll adjust the Y values. It still looks a little weird though.
yeah,
Well,
because it
and
almost looks like am I hitting the x-axis? You know?
Right, you can't really tell that. So if you want to hit the window and just go up, like you said, so you go to the Y max, let's make it like 30. That should give you a little better view of this. Definitely not hitting the x-axis at all, which is what we're looking for solutions.
Okay, because you know what? A lot of times in class, sometimes we're like, oh, well, it's hitting the y-axis, so is that one solution? You
yeah.
know, that question does come up. What would we say about that? Like it is hitting the y-axis, so
Well, students can always plug in. Okay, so what's the answer? All right, well, plug it in. Do we get 0 for an answer?
So
mhm.
yeah, if you hit
No?
trace and you go 0 for x, you should get 10. In fact, you can
Mhm.
kind of do that in your head. 3 times 0 plus 5 times 0 plus 10 is definitely not 0. It's going to be 10.
So yeah, when
Right.
we are in that standard form of a quadratic like we have here, the easiest thing to get is that y-intercept 10. So it's
Hmm.
still an important value. It's just it's our y-intercept. And when we're talking about solutions, we're referring to where it crosses the x-axis, right? So
Right.
that's something if you're taking notes right now, kids, solutions refer to where it crosses the x-axis.
Yep. Okay, let's try another one. Another quadratic, in
Right.
fact. They love these guys.
They do.
So let's go back and type in this guy. So I'm going to type in X, even though it says B. You can't graph B in this guy.
Right. And like you said earlier, we could try solving this by factoring or quadratic. And what's neat is the SAT is just asking for one of the answers.
By the
So
way,
Maybe
just as a side note here, I see this mistake quite often. Sometimes
uh-oh.
students hit this key right here.
No.
Uh, yeah, you're falling off a cliff. It thinks you're multiplying by a negative if you do that. So you definitely want to hit the subtraction sign. It's very sensitive, this calculator, to that.
Yep. It's a
So I'm
classic
gonna hit
mistake.
zoom 6 to graph that guy. I see part of the graph.
right.
And it's
What
only
if,
asking for
One.
one, isn't it?
right.
Yeah.
So we could
So
say 3, but what if, Jeff, you wanted to see the rest of the graph, right?
okay, so let's well, we could do this a couple different ways. Zoom out. You could do zoom number 3 and press enter. I can see both solutions now. So
Yeah.
that's not bad.
But it's really tiny there. Is there a way you could like for sure know where it crosses?
Oh, this is my favorite tack, Jeff. If you ever use the zoom key or the trace key on this,
Okay, so trace.
and then we can type in what we think the answer is. So if I try, say, a 3,
So if I
what
try
should I go?
3,
Yeah, so enter. It jumps to that spot on the graph, and we can see it's on the x-axis, and you can also see the y value is 0. And
yeah,
now
Hmm.
a kid could, though it's hard on this zoomed out to count those pixels, right?
Yep.
yeah.
I think it's negative 16. If we were to press up, and we don't have to press trace again, we can just type in negative 16, right?
Ooh, very cool.
So you could also look at the table. Some of my students really like tables. Second
Mhm.
graph is table. And you can see there's a solution at 3 because the y value is 0. And if you scroll negative enough, I think that y value ends up being 0 for negative 16 as well.
Yeah,
There you go.
Um, if it's not an integer, though, those
right.
methods are going to be tough to use. So I like to know how to find uh, the intercept there another way. So it's in the calculate menu above trace. So second trace is calculate,
Right.
and I want to find the 0 of the graph.
Okay.
So you have to kind of mouse left or right until you can kind of, let's see, where am I? I
See
don't
it
see
shortly
my,
there. We're at
oh,
two.
there I
There
am.
it is.
So if you mouse like to left, you can press enter and it puts a little bar there on the left, and then right bound, if I go to the right of that, so I'm gonna go to like there maybe and press enter. Now it's got bounds on both sides. When I
Right.
press enter for guess, it's gonna find the 0 in between, which is 3 comma 0.
So you got to hit enter that third time on guess and see how it says it says the word zero, right? It doesn't say guess anymore. I have a lot of
Yeah.
kids that hit the enter twice, and it still says guess. Like I have a different answer than you. I'm like, did you hit enter the third time?
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know,
And
so
and like you said, Jeff, it's really nice for those really odd answers. Those really like, what is this? This is a weird decimal.
Yeah, I'm gonna try it one other way. Second trace is calc and go to 0 here. And another way I like to do it sometimes is you can actually type a value in. I'm gonna type in
Oh yeah.
1 and press
Like our
enter
trace.
for my lower bound, and type in 6 and press enter for my upper bound. Do you see how I put the bars at 1 and 6 there?
we gotta hit enter one more. There it is.
And
That's
press enter
cool.
one more
That's
time.
fast.
That's
Mhm.
fast. I like that. I like going fast. So that's my preferred way. I don't like mousing around there.
Yeah.
It's too much work.
That is something that I did not know. So that is really cool to be able to do that, to just type those two values in. Especially I feel like when you're dealing with like finding a maximum of something and it's like taking forever just to click over there,
Yeah, yeah.
So that's a slick move right there, Jeff. I
Mhm.
like that.
And what's nice is on that method, Jeff, you can arrow over, you can tell you type your 6 in, which was definitely off the screen, right? It was way above.
Yeah.
It's okay
Yeah,
because we
yeah.
could see that X, because that X value, at least it was on the X axis. Yeah, we could see it.
You
Yeah.
can count and see like roughly where it is. Like, yeah, like you're saying, even if it was a little more than three, like for this one, say it was like a 3.2 or whatever, like you can tell that it's between 1 and 6, put those numbers, hit enter, and it will tell you what it actually is. So
Well, and if it was multiple choice, this one definitely, right? Like, hey, that's the answer. That's the closest one to the one we see on our graph.
Yeah. And Pat, are they allowed to put either answer?
Either one, it's on the computer. So I think what happens is on the SAT, the digital, right? Don't they type in an answer, a comma, and an answer? Or is it, I think that's the way this would have typed. I mean,
yeah,
So you would
it'll
only
take
type
either
in one
one.
of them because what is
Yeah,
one? I don't think they would
yeah,
accept both.
right. But
yeah, they
they'll
just want the
take
one.
just
Yep.
one of your answers just fine. There's no
Yeah. In fact,
bubbling
there's
or
no
anything.
comma to type there. They won't let you
Right.
type a comma.
That's
Yep.
right. That's right.
Nice.
Okay. Let's
All right,
see
I
what
think we've got two more of these graphing ones.
Oh
Ooh.
wow. This one
Ooh.
looks
Yeah.
tough.
Now we're getting a little crazy here.
Now, could we, so here's our algebra, right, Jeff? Ugh. Well, as
Yeah.
a math teacher, this looks, I mean, I don't know about you, but this looks kind of fun as a
Oh
math
yeah.
teacher.
I'm loving
Um,
this.
could I, now what apps could we have used before graphing? Like I think we've referenced, we're not going to do them, but could we do that numeric solver on this one?
I think you could. The left-hand side is whatever's on the
Right.
left, right-hand side, whatever on the right.
But we could we use the poly solver? I mean the polynomial root finder? No, because that's not what we're trying to find, right? So we got to make
Yeah.
sure we know what apps to use. But
So,
graphing, though.
so how do you graph this? Because there's two different little equations there,
Right.
Pat.
I think we'll do just like you would on that numeric solver. In Y1, we're gonna type in one
Oh
side
yeah.
of the equal sign. And I think maybe the numeric solver is kind of doing the numerical way of what we're gonna do graphically here, I think.
I think it might be doing it graphically. I'm not sure. That's a really
Hmm,
good question,
Yeah,
actually.
it
it
is.
is. And then what we're doing is, I mean, students know this from Algebra 1, right? Trying to solve it. When do these things equal each other? It's when they
O-
cross, right?
Okay, so I'm going to graph these guys.
I really like
Weird
your
looking
Zoom
graphs.
6. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, the Zoom 6 is a nice move there. That's I always tell my students to start with Zoom 6.
Mm,
Sometimes you don't end up seeing the graph at all, but at least it's like your home screen. You know what's going on in these here and you can adjust from there. But this one looks like
yeah.
it gives us everything we need.
Yeah. And we got
Yeah,
two
so we want to
answers.
find the points of intersection. I guess, would trace work here, Pat?
It could. You could press trace and start jumping to it, but you're gonna have to play that game of
I,
trying to figure out exactly where. I personally love the calculate one on this one. I love the second calculate intersect.
yeah, so this one's a tough one because it doesn't seem to show that answer very well. So if you second
Right.
trace is calc, and we
And
want
then
to
what I
find,
do on this, Jeff, for intersect, I ignore the directions. I just move to where I think the intersection point is and press enter 3 times.
okay, I'm going to press enter 3 times. Oh,
There we
wow.
go.
Boom.
But you got to be careful again, right? What's the
Yes.
answer here? 2 or 5?
Ooh.
They want to know. We're trying
Chose
to
the
figure out
solution.
X, right? They got to be careful with this. Wouldn't it be awful? You do all this and you say the
Oh,
answer's 5.
that would truly be awful.
Oh,
So I'm going to
heartbreak.
try your other method. So I'm going to make sure that works. Oh, what? Wait, I'm not even on the.
All
This
right,
is
so
so
let's go
strange.
second calc again.
Okay, let's go back to second trace. I was doing some weird stuff there. I was
Yeah.
off the rails.
I've seen that
Okay,
happen before. Yep, you got to hit that second calc again if you want to get that
second
intersection.
trace 5 is intersect, and I'm going to cursor over.
And it doesn't matter which path you're taking, right?
Yeah, so
There we
I took
go.
that path. I'm somewhere near there. I'm going to press enter 3 times.
Yep.
Boom, negative
Yeah.
6, 3. So negative 6 is our other solution.
Right.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, and
And
again, you could have solved this algebraically. You could have used the numeric
oh,
solver. Virginia in the chat right now is talking about, he's like, I was trying the numeric solver, like, when's one better to do than the other? I think honestly, it comes down to whatever pops in your head first or
mhm.
whatever you think is going to be
Yeah,
fast. Because if you're sitting there, you're like, which one should I do here? Whatever
Well,
one
and
you
if
think
we,
is going to work first, and that's where
yeah.
like practice comes in. So if you're like doing some practice problems or whatever, and you try it in the graph, awesome. If you try it in the solver, awesome. And I think the bonus here with the graph is you get that visual representation,
Mhm.
of what's actually happening there. I love that for teaching, but I think either one's going to get you to that correct
Well,
answer.
and then speaking of teaching, we love questions that have multiple ways of calculating the correct answer.
Mhm.
I mean, the more avenues in, you really see the students that really love the numeric solver. The other ones are like, I love graphing. Um, it's great. And so what's neat is Jeff has these things typed in as what. Now, how did you get that Y1, Jeff? That was, I don't see a
so
key.
remember our y1s are our left side, so I just
Yeah.
called it y1 of x. So went math, solver. I went the up arrow, and I'm going to put my cursor down there and hit alpha trace is the secret menu,
Oh,
and there's your
another secret
y1 and
menu.
y2.
Yep.
I don't remember if I have to put X or
Yeah, I don't
not
know if you
there.
have to either.
I'm going to try it this way, then I'll try it the other way. I'm going to hit solve. It gives me negative 6. If I type in
That's
a
the
positive number like
closest.
8 and hit solve, it's going to give me 2 or
Two.
1.999.
And this one was asking for what's the largest solution. And I think what you also talked about earlier with this
Mhm.
solver app is a lot of times we pick like a really big number and a really small number. So again, Virginia crushing it in the chat says she's been using 100 and negative 100 for the guess. That way you get the high
There you
number,
go, Virginia.
get the lower number. I think that's a solid way to go about it. And then let's see if this works here. If you just type in Y1 and Y2.
It's funny. You could keep y1 and y2 in there all the time and then just change your y1 and y2 and solve the equation and solver that way. It's kind
Yeah.
of funny.
Type it once only. Yeah.
Yeah. If you just love that solver. So lots of different ways to solve is one of the things we've learned today. And I
Yeah.
think it just saves time on some of these
Yep.
And I,
guys.
I think we've got one more graphing one, I think,
Okay.
to go through. Oh,
Okay.
yeah, here we go.
Okay. This one looks a
After
little different here. So let's go negative 3x squared.
So we could, like, since they're providing the answers, thinking back to ways we did this before, we could do numeric solver again, right? We could plug in these numbers for x's and see which one gives us negative 10.
Yeah.
Like you said, we're graphing, right? So let's graph it.
Oh, wow. I can barely see it at the bottom there. Right.
So how do
Oh,
we see
and look at
further?
those answers. They're all positive. So I know it's the one on the right.
Yeah. How can we get further down to see a little better?
So you could change the window, go Y minimum would be less than that, maybe negative 20.
Sure.
I can see that a lot better.
Oh, yeah.
So
It looks like it's right around a 1, maybe,
it's pretty close to 1.
but it's definitely not C or D, right? Like, so we
Yeah.
can think about elimination as a strategy on this too, to get
So
rid
let's
of,
try second trace. I guess it'd be called intersect.
right? And
And put
then
our cursor
enter 3
close to
times.
there. Enter 3 times.
was that
There we are.
two thirds there?
0.66666.
2/3. Hey.
Yep.
I'm interested now. So if I type in X over here on a home
I was
screen,
just
Yeah.
thinking this, Jeff.
now I don't know if this will work, but I'm going to hit alpha Y equals and go to fraction to decimal. Oh my goodness, it even changes it for
Hey,
me.
I'm curious, Jeff, if you typed in a Y, would it give
Okay.
the Y value of negative 10?
Oh, it stores the Y value
Wow.
as well.
So anytime it calculates something, it's storing it. So like earlier about clearing the variables, class, it's been storing variables since this calculator was turned on. You just weren't realizing it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and we had a really good suggestion in the chat there from Samuel. He said if you turn on the grid like you have here, now most of these answers, I mean, there's really only one logical one
Right.
that you could select.
yeah,
Fortunately, right? Two-thirds is the
Correct.
only one because it looks like we're close to like one. If you like really look at that.
it,
But if you had more answers, like what did they said, like one half, two-thirds, five sevenths, right? All these different
right.
answers.
Right.
Then
And
you
I
would need to
think
do
like
what you
what
did.
Samuel's saying, you could pretty much spot it graphically on this because they're not going to have answers like
Yeah.
super close together. Because
So that's a
essentially, once
great
you
point. That's even
estimate,
faster than using the tool there. Once you've eliminated B, C, and D, you got to just choose A.
Yep.
yeah.
And also in trace, I think you can do, like you said, you can type a number. I'm going to try to type a fraction in here. So what's weird is it doesn't let me use the fraction template, but I can type
But
2 divided by 3, and it shows me where that answer is, which
Okay.
so using those
looks,
answers as choices, yeah.
yeah. So you could actually type it in not using the fraction template and trace though.
Yep.
So a lot of really great coming in the classroom, especially too for the teachers watching. Lots of great classroom discussion on just that one question.
Hmm.
This one looks tough to factor, by the way, like for our students.
Yeah, especially if you have a negative,
Yeah.
I don't know what it is, but I believe it's impossible to factor if a coefficient is the lead coefficient's negative. I've
Oh,
never
it's
seen anyone do it.
possible, but it's just you got to put one of those guys negative,
Yeah.
I know,
I
I
like
know.
negative
that's
three
I've
why
x or
I
never
negative x.
I've never seen anyone do it correctly in my life. We've got people going to the moon, but you cannot factor with a negative
well,
lead
you always
coefficient.
get foiled on
Impossible.
that for sure.
You get foiled on that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, puns, just too much.
All right, what else we got here?
I think that's it for our graphing, I believe.
All right. Well, then we got questions. If you guys had any questions, we had some really great tips actually coming through in the chat throughout that when we were talking about there. So awesome job on that, guys, in the chat. It's been a lot of fun, seeing what you got there. But we got a couple winners from the YouTube comment post. First off, guys, thank you so much for going over there and commenting on that video because that boosts the video as well, and we want to get some views there. But we have amazing me 363 wants to learn how to factor. That is the best, right? Factoring. So I will help you out with that. I got a ton of videos on that, amazing me. So I will be sure to comment those your way on that video so you can see them. And let's see here, Kel Physics. Can you teach me how to do matrices? I do need to make some matrices videos, so you are my motivation to do so. But amazing me 363 and Kel Physics, you guys are the winners from the boom from the YouTube prompt. Nice work, you guys. You're gonna get a nice little swag box.
No.
I mean, let's see what's in my swag box here. I've got a calculator.
Oh.
I have a math nerd shirt, light blue. I'm excited to wear that one. I've had to hold off on wearing this stuff until we had this SAT event. I've been wanting to use it for so long. Ooh, got a nice little notebook here. Got a charger, got some stickers. I mean, I don't want to spoil everything. So you'll see yours. Everybody's is a little bit different. So we'll see what you guys get in your swag boxes, but that is very, very exciting.
Yeah.
And also, we got another winner as well, guys, for the awesome participation, the participation award, if you will, is we got JL, all right, for the student group that she has as well. All right. So nice work, you guys. Nice
Mhm.
work. And let's see what else we got on this one after the questions here. So I think we got one more social prompt, one more opportunity here. Oh, we got a quick poll. There we go. Okay. So from today, you guys, what do you think was the most helpful tip that we covered? We had 5 big ones, right? We had the formulas. We had the plug-in mindset where you store values for like X or store values for A, B, C, H, whatever. We did the whole alphabet in that one. We got the TI-84 apps. So that'd be your polynomial root finder, your simultaneous equation solver, and the numeric solver. The making use of structure. I feel like that's like the biggest time saver one that we had there of like quickly getting through a problem. And then also the last one we just did there, which was solve by graphing. So what's your favorite here, guys? A, B, C, D, E. It's just an opinion on this one. You don't even have to do any math, which is nice. As much as I love to do math, sometimes you're like, I'm done with this. I just want to tell you what I like. Let's see what we got going on here in the chat. We got a lot of people saying B and C right now. B and C seems to be the hot takes, you know. We got a choice D as well, the making use of structure. Honestly,
Okay.
I love the making use of structure with those problems. That seems to be something that's kind of unique to the SAT as compared to the ACT. Is that a correct assessment there?
Much more
Much
on the
more.
SAT, much more.
Yeah. Yeah, so I mean, if you are taking both the SAT and ACT, make sure you guys take a look at our past live stream from the ACT. If you're going to do that, we covered a lot of different stuff. There's some similar things like these apps, but there were some other things that we covered as well that are unique to the ACT. I myself, if you guys are on there on my YouTube, I'm sure you subscribed after commenting on that video and turned on notifications. But I have some ACT videos as well, and that video that you guys went to should be part of an SAT playlist that I'll be adding to throughout the next, week or so as we lead up to that national date on May 3rd when many of you are taking it. So let's see here. I think choice C, the apps. The app seems to be winning out right here, guys. So
Okay.
very nice. That was probably one of my favorites as well. I think we got one more social check-in here after this one. Instagram, the IG. Let's see here. I believe this goes to the TI Instagram. So get your phones out. QR code there, guys. You were going to say, I just learned how to fill in that prompt. Make sure you put your YouTube handle on there so we know who you are. And then also hashtag take TI to the test and hashtag SAT because you guys get your hands on some swag. We got a little more swag to give out here, right? A little more swag that's coming your way. So head over to that Instagram post and finish that prompt. Ooh, we got some questions on any videos on AP Calc. I personally don't have any on AP Calc. I have started doing some on the AP Pre-Calc stuff. That's
Mhm.
uh
Huh.
that's a newer test here in the last couple years. Um, I need to get going on the AP Calc myself.
Pat, your YouTube, do you have any videos?
Yeah, yeah.
You
So
do, Pat? You
in
got some videos?
class, so my last name is Flynn, right? So my students made, we should call it the Flintstagram. Don't spit your
Mm.
water out, James. I
Oh,
waited till you had your mouth full of water there. So it's the Flintstagram, and we've even taken pictures of Infinity on the Flintstagram. I mean, anyway, we post a lot of videos of my calc kids. We're in BC and we're in serious review mode because
Oh yeah,
it's a week from, no, it's 2 weeks from Monday. The
yeah,
problem is all my students take AP exams also, so I don't really see them that first week of testing. So it's like we're just trying to get a lot of stuff out there, and yeah, so
yeah.
I've put a lot of videos and stuff on the Flintstagram.
Instagram, nice. And I think there's also TI does a weekly, and I think
They
they
do.
alternate it now between AP Calc and AP Pre-Calc
Yep,
Live.
Monday
They do a
night.
similar thing here, and I've tuned in for some of those, and they are great. They go over a ton of cool
yeah.
questions. You can ask your
Super
questions. So
helpful.
if you are prepping for that AP Calc test, I mean, head over to the Flintstagram. You can head over. You can on Monday nights with TI. They're going to be doing
Right,
AP Pre-Calc or AP Calculus, and I think they also often do like a focused type of session of certain problems
right.
they're going to hit. And I think that's super, super helpful there.
Super helpful because like those AP exams, just like you can use your calculator, right? On half of the exam, like half of the multiple choice and two of the free responses are calculator, and you can't get those questions right without using your calculator. So you definitely want to brush up on those skills for those.
Yeah, very nice. All right, while we wait to pick the last winners here, if we want to head over to we got a couple last little things here. If you want to click through some of those slides, one question that has come up here is like, could you get a link to this presentation?
Mm,
Absolutely. Go to the next one there. But I think we're going to be putting it in the description, so there will be a link in the description for you guys to check out later. So be sure to come back for that so you can get that, especially if you're a teacher and you're sharing it with your students. You guys can go through some of these problems, use them, whatever you'd like. Or if you're a student, you can go back and refresh yourself on how we did these. Or maybe you want to do some of the algebra methods that you guys typed up in the show rather than maybe an app. You're like, hey, I think I can actually handle that algebra. Maybe I can go quicker through it, but I'll save,
mhm,
the tip that we did for one you might get stumped on.
mhm.
I think on the next one there, we've got a QR code. That'll take you to my SAT math prep videos. And of course, I said also that I've got the ACT math prep videos on that channel as well. So if you're taking both tests, you're all set there. There's going to be new stuff added to that playlist every couple days here as we lead up to May 3rd. So be sure you pop back over for that one. And then I believe we have one more. Um, up there for you guys. We got the TI stuff. So on the TI YouTube, we have your exam prep right there as well. So there's a little QR for that playlist. And then I mean, I
Well,
think
what's helpful there is if you're an Inspire user, right? If we've got
oh
a big
yeah,
set of
yeah.
Inspire stuff
Oh
there,
yeah.
which is super helpful. And
All
Jeff,
right.
I think you did some of the Inspire
Yeah,
stuff.
I did some of those, I think. So yeah, you're right.
All right, and we got our final winners. Let's head to that swag page right there. Let me put some swag on for this final giveaway here, guys. Let me get the logo out there with the plushie. We have, let's see here. We have Jack Rack really liked the plug-in mindset. He had no idea you could use that storage tool like that. Well done, Jack. So Jack's a winner. We have Dono77. I'm not sure if that's how you pronounce the name. I apologize. I am terrible with announcing. I host pep assemblies at my school, and on my no-go list, like how like people have like, I don't do that. It's announcing names. I will mess up names at all times. So I apologize if that was you. McDonough77. It's a GH at the end. I'm not sure if that's how you pronounce it, but they learn how to use the polynomial solver. So that's very exciting stuff. Yeah, so I think those are all our final winners
Hey,
there. And
James, are you going to go to the grocery store wearing that hat? Have you done
I
this
think I
before?
might.
All
I,
right,
I
so if you're in the
attended
ship, yeah.
I attended a town a board meeting at our township for something. I was wearing a calculator shirt during it, so I think I got some looks there.
Okay, so people in the Chicagoland area, go out this afternoon and look for James.
That's right.
He'll
You
probably
might get a
put you on
swag
his
box. I don't
social.
know. I
I
Hit
don't
him
can
up
know.
with some
finally bring this
swag. He
stuff to
might give you
school,
the
man.
shirt off his back.
That's right.
Oh no, I don't think anyone
Maybe
wants.
not.
I don't think you want to. Yeah. Awesome. I think that's everybody there, guys. Again, make sure if you were one of those winners, JL, I love that you brought your crew with you, had 4 kids with you. That's so awesome. I hope you guys get all swagged up, with the swag box as well. Make sure you guys message or email edtechsocial@ti.com that if you were a winner, because you guys gotta, if you want your stuff, you got to give them your info. We can't read minds. I know AI is powerful, but we don't know what your address is and where to send the swag. So if you want the swag, you got to send us your address. All right. So send that over to, again, edtechsocial@ti.com. It's in the chat right now. Copy that, email them, let them know who you are. And yes, Virginia M. I am in the Chicagoland area. Shoot me a message on the gram if you're in the area. Perhaps we'll see a Yoro shirt. All right, guys. You have a wonderful day. Thanks so much for tuning in here today, and good luck on your SAT. Remember, hashtag take TI to the test.